and welcome to our next video in a series of videos in the run-up to ATS called Road to ATS London. Today we have Anna Forbes from the Trade Desk with us. Hello, Anna.
Hello, thank you.
And Anna will be joining us on stage at ATS London for the TV panel, Addressable TV, the $600 billion opportunity. And today I'm going to chat to Anna kind of more broadly about ad tech and data and how technology can help advertisers, marketers kind of get to grips with, you know, the business of media and beyond that, and then talk a bit about kind of TV and where the opportunity lies within that. So Anna, great to have you here. I'm really looking forward to having you on stage in London as well. I want to kind of understand from you where we talk about ad tech and Madtech and the convergence of them, and the term Madtech gets talked about a lot, how that is actually helping advertisers and marketers kind of be more in their own business infrastructure rather than just looking at them in silos, the business of media, and then kind of everything else that happens in the back end. How is technology kind of helping address that and helping marketers and agencies realise that?
Yeah, I think it's wonderful, to be honest, because having those decisions made in silo and having like CMOs never talk to their CTO or their CIO has been a real challenge, because first-party data essentially is one of the most valuable assets that a marketer has, and it means that they've got to go and talk to people internally about how they activate that, and then they can actually make the most out of that valuable data in terms of their marketing activities, the strategies that they put in place. And one of the great things that technology companies can do is have those meaningful conversations with people in their organisations to actually move that forward and move those conversations on, and help people realise that value.
We have a lot of conversation at the moment around the service layer, the future of agencies, and if they even have a future. And the Trade Desk famously works very closely with agencies, and that's, you know, your major success has been off the back of working closely with agencies and helping them develop their relationships with marketers, both directly and indirectly. How do you feel that companies like the Trade Desk can actually help marketers, help agencies achieve that, and help them understand, is there education required to help them be able to work better with marketers and help them understand and realise the power of data more?
Absolutely. It depends on where people sit on this sort of spectrum of programmatic knowledge and how their data can help them with their marketing campaigns. We strongly are aligned with agencies, and we believe that they are part of a digital transformation along with most other industries, to be perfectly honest. And so headlines that like talk about brands all going in-house are a little bit erroneous and designed essentially to sort of stir the pot.
It's not black and white, is it?
Absolutely not.
Black and white.
It's not at all. In-housing depends on so many factors, and ultimately what we're finding for the majority of marketers is that some kind of hybrid works best, where they're still activating their agency in terms of hands-on keyboard, they're using them to consult in the strategies that they should be actually executing and how the creative will fit in with that, but they want transparency, they want knowledge, they want that sort of expertise that tech platforms, Madtech platforms can provide, like the Trade Desk, and so it's great from our point of view to have that seat at the table alongside agencies, and the work that we've done around partnering with our agencies allows us to have that trust level that they are comfortable with us being there and engaging on a three-way conversation with clients, which is great.
And what do you think the opportunity is when it comes to data and the role agencies play within that as well? There's this talk around kind of looking, I mentioned it before, beyond the business of media into the business of outcomes, and how it's not about the impression of a CPM, it's about things way beyond that, like, you know, customer lifetime value, engagement, ROI, even, you know, fulfillment. How can data help power that? How can advertising data help power that? And how can companies like you and the agencies you work with help marketers realise that?
Absolutely, and a number of agency partners are strongly talking about outcomes, and we, you know, like to make sure that they're set up for success in order to do that. One of the things that we've launched this year around data and the volumes of data that we're seeing is our AI tool Koa, that allows marketers and their agencies to take their media planning process to really involve that first party and third party data, so that they can set up campaigns before they're even live, based on actual data across all connected devices, all online ad opportunities, and actually make sure that they are strategically betting and bidding on the right inventory before they've gone live. There's no testing period because that's done behind the scenes with the data crunching, with the AI in advance.
And how does that help the traders' day-to-day lives?
Massively. I mean, for starters, it enables like intelligent setup activities. So you know that certain strategies are going to help contribute. You know that certain channels are going to contribute towards those outcomes that we talked about. But also you can then activate that execution straight away by just essentially one click from the planning tool straight into the actual DSP.
And you talked about cross-channel, and there's the kind of the massive opportunity in helping to understand exactly how one channel impacts another. We talk about it a lot, we talk about attribution, but actually it does seem like it's not really there yet. There's a lot of it happening, but it's not really that intelligent as it stands.
Yeah.
But one of the big areas of that is kind of all the money going into TV, and you will be joining us on the TV panel at ATS London.
Looking forward to it.
The trade desk have been very, very bullish about conversations around TV and kind of why TV is the future. How do you think that, what's the future, what's the opportunity with TV, and how can we help harness all of the media spend that's going into TV and actually bring that into the sort of digital platform and help kind of assess and understand exactly how it's impacting the rest of the digital ecosystem?
I think agencies ultimately have to start breaking down those silos of how channels have previously been bought. Ultimately, everything within the next 10 years is likely to be bought programmatically, to be honest. At least the bulk of how media is activated will be bought programmatically.
Which renders the word programmatic obsolete.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's something that will no longer exist in 10 years' time. It'll be just that's the status quo of how you buy ads. Yes, we see that CTV is a huge part of that, of moving that needle into just everything that you want to activate from a media point of view is going to be bought programmatically. And CTV is going to be the big channel that moves everything from just being, okay, so it's been legacy remnant inventory on digital display, now it's premium inventory, now it's social, now it's native, now it's audio. It's just the next big channel, and it's a big one, but it's a really exciting one, and it just really makes the whole industry sort of around digital grow up, I think.
And do you think that, given the size of TV and the fact that it does actually touch so many other channels already, do you think that will also somehow create like a blurring of the lines of how we define media channels going forward as well?
Absolutely. I don't really necessarily think you need to have that distinction between the channels. Yes, there are going to be different KPIs based on the channel you're watching or consuming, because TV is traditionally quite a passive channel, whereas a device is something you're a little bit more interactive with. And so you're going to see the different KPIs, but you don't have to have that same specialism like you would with creative development versus media planning, I think. Your ability to use systems, manipulate data, and build out the best plan regardless of where it's appearing, but based on your client-specific KPIs for that campaign, that's more important.
Yeah, and how do you think that agencies specifically, because obviously you work closely with agencies, how do you think they should be setting themselves up to understand and handle kind of what the future of TV looks like? Obviously, you currently have TV buying teams, you have trading teams, you have AV teams, you have the programmatic and the in-house trading desks, etc. How can they align themselves to actually be able to take advantage of the value of connected TV?
We're seeing some really good things from our agency partners, actually. They're being very proactive around this space. UK is a very interesting industry because of the power and the strength of the three main broadcasters. But what we're seeing there is that they're interested in making sure that they also ride this wave of everything becoming programmatic. And also very much leaning in on how can they make that inventory accessible. From an organisation point of view, yes, we're seeing agencies break down those silos of traditional planning, AV and digital, and actually starting to merge things together. But again, as we've just discussed, programmatic may no longer be around as a term. And what we are seeing is sort of forward market and spot market. So what I mean by that is like how things are traded, in economics or in sort of stock markets, where inventory is traditionally very, very scarce. The forward market, which, you know, in the US we know as upfronts for TV, and then everything else is open market because it still has a value, but people aren't necessarily looking to buy stuff up front. It's a kind of more of an organic
it's a different type
supply
of
and demand.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's about finding the individual sort of price point for every single impression. And people are willing to A, put their inventory into that market, and B, advertisers are willing to get strategic advantage, competitive advantage by being smart about how they buy that inventory, and that's obviously where having a smart DSP like Trade Desk comes into play.
Of course. So I want to close it off there, but before I do, I want to understand what you think will be the core themes at ATS London this year and the things you really want to make sure are covered and what you hear about.
Yeah, absolutely. Two things. One is data. There's so much opportunity there with that, and marketers really need to understand and get better clarity around that. Because they have so much at their fingertips in terms of first-party and third-party data. And then the second thing is AI. How can artificial intelligence help manipulate and give additional clarity to that data? It is vast, and we need to make sure that we're seeing that in a really positive way. We've launched our product, COA, which is our artificial intelligence that works across both our planning team and our trading tool, And the planning tool the artificial intelligence allows planners to essentially see what type of activity and strategies would deliver the best results for advertisers. And the trading part of the AI actually allows real-time optimizations, so that the hard number crunching actually isn't where the traders are spending their time. They can be more strategic and make more upstream decisions around how best to pitch recommendations for clients.
I think you kind of explained it perfectly in terms of what COA actually does, but actually the definition of AI has become that term that everyone hears it so often in so many different contexts that it's now become the eye roll term.
Yes.
If I hear that term one more time, I swear to God. But actually, it's breaking it down and saying this is physically what it does, and these are the different things that it actually affects and how it will impact your day-to-day life. And that's what's probably missing the AI conversation. So
completely, the use cases is not there, and that's exactly what we want to talk about. Make it real.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much for your time, Anna. Look forward to seeing you on stage at ATS London, and look forward to seeing you all there too. Thank you.